Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Spectrum wants to hear your views. You can SMS at any time during the show. Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
Hello, a very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond. Kizito. On Spectrum tonight, should Uganda withdraw from
UN missions in protest against a report accusing the country of aiding DRC rebels. Uganda has threatened to pull its forces from Somalia and other missions if the UN goes ahead to accept a report by a team of experts accusing Uganda of aiding the DRC rebel outfit, the M23. The report, which followed an investigation sanctioned by the UN, says that Uganda is providing the political leadership of the M23 rebels with a platform to carry out diplomacy as it seeks recognition. It also accuses Ugandan neighbors, Rwanda, of directly aiding the military wing and taking command of operations through its defense ministry. Uganda, which is mediating in the DRC conflict as chair of the International Conference on the Great Lakes region, has dismissed the UN report. Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda was recently sent to New York to issue a protest note in which Uganda threatened to pull out of Somalia and other UN missions if the report is adopted by the UN Assembly. In response, the chairman of the United Nations Security Council indicated that the report is yet to be considered and that it cannot be taken as the formal position of the entire UN Assembly. Prime Minister Mama Mbabazi also told Parliament last Thursday that Uganda was considering pulling out of Somalia so it can concentrate on its own regional security concerns. Uganda has, however, been attacked, with many saying the country must stay in Somalia if it stands for Pan-Africanism as a matter of principle. The involvement of Uganda in the DRC affairs has remained topical given past experiences, including reports that some Ugandan leaders planted minerals and timber in past conflicts. The UN report suggests that some Ugandans are still stealing from the DRC, but the government has denied this. So tonight we ask, should Uganda pull out of Somalia and other UN missions in protest? Also, should Uganda abandon its role as mediator in the DRC conflict, since it is said to be an interested party? Our guests tonight: Honorable Reagan Okumu, Aswa County MP, also chair of the Acholi Parliamentary Group. You're most welcome, Honorable Reagan Okumu.
Thank you.
We're also joined by, well, His Excellency Mr. Kintu. His Excellency Kintu Nyago, Deputy Head of the Ugandan Mission in New York. You're most welcome, Your Excellency, Mr. Kintu Nyago.
No, I'm not Excellency. I'm just Ambassador.
Ambassador Kintu Nyago. Talk to us. What does it mean for Uganda to pull out of its peacekeeping missions? Yes.
Pulling out?
Yes. What would the implications be?
Serious. What are serious implications? I mean, because the sports that are indicated in that communication are areas that not many countries are willing to engage in. Not many countries are willing to engage in Somalia. Not many countries are willing to engage in the Central African Republic. And not many countries are, have in the past engaged in negotiating successfully the peaceful resolution of the conflict in the DRC. So in case Uganda does pull out, these are very serious implications. Now, Somalia is not just a regional issue. It's regional in the sense that it would affect the entire Horn of Africa, but also it's international. International in the sense, we've heard about issues of Somali piracy, but also Al-Qaeda and so forth. When Uganda pulls out and there's a vacuum in Mogadishu, that would really lead to very serious repercussions, especially bearing in mind that there's a transitional arrangement whereby a new prime minister or president was elected, and even a government has been appointed with a woman deputy prime minister or deputy president and foreign minister and so forth. So many things are happening in Somalia. So Uganda's pulling out would be a very serious blow in Somalia, regionally and internationally. And Uganda's pulling out from the Central African Republic would be a very serious blow to the region, the countries around that, because I would imagine the LRA would be rejuvenated if they don't have the pressure of the EPDF. And clearly there is need to resolve also peacefully the conflict in the DRC, which Uganda is attempting to do.
Will it pull out anyway, or is this just another threat?
Well, if that report is adopted by the members of the Security Council, I don't think Uganda would have any other option, because Uganda is clearly sacrificing a lot. For example, you've got a UN base in Entebbe, and you're not charging them a cent. But because of internationalist approach, and they need to resolve conflicts in the region. And being in Somalia is not like a Sunday school picnic. I mean, Uganda is not the first country, or AMISOM is not the first force to go to Somalia. In the early 90s, an international force was there, a UN international force, including Pakistanis and others. They had to pull out. So it is not a Sunday school picnic. It's a big sacrifice on our men and so forth, resources, or being in the Central African Republic, the jungle of the Central African Republic. It's a very engaging exercise. It's not something that is, just like, for example, being on some peace mission where there are no hazards. And the successful attempt to resolve the conflict in the Congo is also very serious whatever. So really, Uganda is pulling out. But if the UN adopts that report, I don't think Uganda would have any option.
Honorable Reagan, what do you think of this dynamics? What do you think is likely to happen? Also, do you think Uganda could actually pull out? What do you read in this dynamics?
When I heard about that, I was actually laughing. I am saying, are we trying to play games? Are we playing diplomacy? What are we up to? Because if you analyze the reasons now, in quotes, for pulling out, is because we are being criticized, we are being accused in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And mind you, this is not the first time we've ever been accused, we've ever been taken to court over DR Congo. I had a talk show some years back.
India starts to pay $10 billion.
Yes, I had a
we haven't even started on that.
I had a talk show some time back, and on BBC. I told them, yes, there could be something like this, but I don't think Uganda as a Congo went to Congo to loot. We've never had a policy to go and loot. The only thing is that we failed to bring those individuals who looted these resources into DRC into book. Because if you go to Bank of Uganda, I don't think you'll find any gold that has been brought by our forces in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So it would have even been very wrong for us to say that Uganda has looted the Democratic Republic of the Congo, because definitely there were individuals involved, and what these fellows should have done were basically to carry out some investigation, do some of these things, and then pin the individuals who are there, because I don't think there has actually been a award. Now, this later report that is now coming is also talking about Uganda. Now, I don't want to deny it, because I don't want to have I don't have the facts. But I don't think that Uganda as a country has sat down somewhere, somehow, to go and support the rebels. The way, to a great extent, everybody knew in this country that we've been supporting SPLA for a very long period of time, because the policies were clear, and everybody knew. It may have not been
even the RPF
open thing, even the RPF, because it became known that it was a clear goal. We were support. Even when we went to support Kabila, then it became known that things were like this. But I don't think as a country we've sat down. So if in any way, again, there are some individuals who may have done certain things because of maybe past relationship in the old forces we've had, if they have had a hand in one way or the other to do with the rebels in DR Congo, then for me, I think it should not be assumed. If they are serving officers, then they should be brought to book. If they are retired officers, then they should also be really pronounced as it is. But let me not go away from the point, because the point is pulling out. And for me, I think we cannot condition our deployment elsewhere on being criticized
Well,
somewhere else.
If you help someone and they're maligning you, it sounds like logic.
No, listen. For example, look at the two places where we are. Let us start with the Central African Republic. I don't think the UN asked us to go there. That has been our interest, looking after LRA out of northern Uganda. We went to southern Sudan. We went to Garamba. But because we were operating in the different countries, we are now able to sign protocols to allow us operate in those countries. In pursuing LRA, who are actually our rebels, because we failed to complete this. And I think the UN came in to support us, to give us a hand. The Americans have come in to give us a hand because of the nature of the LRA attacking these other countries. We've also ended up signing protocols with this country, and these countries are also engaged and involved in supporting us. And therefore, withdrawing from Central African Republic simply because you are being accused in the Congo would really be self-defeating. That is one. And I don't think any Ugandans of sound mind would listen to any government official saying that, and we are going to withdraw because of ABCD. The LRA matter is a very concerned thing. In any case, Uganda government still has a responsibility to rescue the children they failed to protect for many years in northern Uganda. They were abducted. They went into the hands of LRA. They have become bandits, extremists, murderers, and we have still a responsibility. And this is why locally people are fighting for amnesty. That please, we need amnesty. It's just because of those children. Secondly, if you look at Somalia,
yes,
honestly speaking, what reason took us to Somalia? I don't think it was even the UN. Before the UN came on board, the African countries, the AU met. The AU met, agreed, together with the Somalis. They even agreed on the forces who should be deployed. And I remember the earlier agreement was that none of the countries bordering Somalia should actually deploy there.
That's the Eagle Protocol,
yes. So at the end of it all, first of all, our going to Somalia was a Pan-African interest.
Yes.
We purely went there because of the failures of Somalia. And in the Pan-African interest, we decided to take the risk, for example, as Uganda, because this is not our first time really helping Pan-African interests. Yes. We've supported the Southern Sudanese, we've supported South Africa. We actually, all over, we've been either diplomatically pushing on, militarily present, or giving a contribution, or even politically giving some cover for some freedom fighters, people who wanted to be freedom. And Somalia is has seen lots of failures, and the challenge fell back on us. This is why, by the time this deployment was taking place, I was a shadow minister for foreign affairs. I actually did a lot of work. I presented a paper so that actually I was tasked before the opposition say, why should we support the Somali people? And the reasons I gave to them to convince them, I say, no, there is no way we can turn our back against Somalia, but let us give some conditions how our troops should be treated, how our troops should operate, and all this kind of thing. And we should get accountability from time to time, briefing and all this kind of thing. So, reason for going to Somalia has nothing to do with our activities in the Democratic Republic of Congo. If there is any accusation, UN is not an end thing in itself. If a report comes out, it is a responsibility of our government, it is a responsibility of our country with our allies to mobilize alliances around to counter the UN and say, no, on these issues we've seen this report, this is not true, this is not true, this is not true, with lots of facts. But to come up and start threatening, I want to use the word threatening, and say we're going to pull out of Somalia. First of all, when I listen to Honorable Babazi, yes, the matter of pulling out is not just a pronouncement by government now. Yes. The matter of pulling out is basically the issue with the Parliament of Uganda. Parliament also needs to sanction. Have you completed this mission for which we sent you? As simple as that. So at the end of it all, I don't think these statements are serious enough. I think we should be able to separate our contribution to our African brothers and the African people, and also our contribution towards rescuing our own nationals, the LRA.
In the CAR?
Yes, into the Central African Republic. And also trying to show those other countries that actually, you know, when you are rebels, let me just give examples. If Nigerian rebels manage to get their ways through DR Congo, through what, and end up coming into Uganda, it would also be a responsibility of the Nigerian, because LRA did not start a war against the Central African Republic. Right. They really started a war in Uganda, and the matter was there. So for me, my advice would be, and we are going to take this matter up in Parliament, that these statements we are making should seriously be discussed, should seriously be analyzed, right. And then if there are issues with the UN, we also need that UN report, if in any case, to be formally tabled before Parliament, so that we were able to analyze and then see what we can do. But as I said earlier, at least I may not have that knowledge, but I know that our contribution to foreign forces, to foreign government, has always been open, to some extent, with an average knowledge of most Ugandans. But if individuals are involved, these individuals should not be protected by the state of Uganda.
Right, and we know that the report has not been adopted formally by the United Nations.
Yes, it has not been adopted.
It's a report of the experts. It's not been even tabled formally. It was only let one media group. Yes, Ambassador.
I agree with much of, not all, but much of what the Honourable Member of Parliament has mentioned. But it's important to bear in mind that the statement that was made by the government of Uganda is a legitimate and serious statement that has been done after careful consideration. It's not as if somebody just woke up and then issued that statement. There has been debate, there has been consultation within the relevant structures. So it's a serious statement, and it's serious and legitimate. Now, assuming
that we consulted, the spokesman said he knew nothing about those things.
Which spokesman?
Well, Felix Kulaije.
Well, he's a middle level, whatever. I mean,
well, he's a spokesman for the Defense Ministry and the Army.
But I mean, he doesn't make.
And he knows nothing about it.
He doesn't make policy. Those who make policy are the ones that issued this statement, and they have the mandate, and they will act within the laws of Uganda. They don't need to consult, everybody. But the point is, this is a serious statement. It's not something that people just woke up and then issued. No, they discussed it, and it was reflected upon seriously. Secondly, the way things were going, certain countries within the UN Security Council seem to be with the position of attempting to adopt taking seriously these issues. And if the UN Security Council, for example, adopted this report, very serious implications would have fallen on Uganda, including sanctions and so forth.
Potentially.
No, seriously, I mean, I'm telling you, very serious. But much more importantly, these are not, it's not just a matter of criticism, as the Honourable Member of Parliament puts it. This is malignment. Some people who...
Besmirching our good name.
Exactly, because let me tell you, from what I've gathered, these characters spend in Uganda less than 12 hours. Many of the people they talk about in that report, they didn't even interview them. Now, that reminds one of jungle law. If you have to write a report, there are certain values you should base yourself on. Natural justice. Don't just say Edmond Kizito did this. Call him.
Hear both sides. Hear both sides.
Yeah, these characters they are either malicious or amateurs or or racist. Anything goes in Africa. So-called experts. Experts in what? But they are possible experts in their own countries. You see, so-called experts. They don't even interview people. They spend as if we don't have where to stay. Kampala is a very safe place, or Entebbe or Jinja or Gulu. Less than 12 hours. They're in a hurry. Then they go and write a report of very serious implications. They can't find this kind of on their own countries, which have been planned in Congo. One they write the similar reports and then table to the UN. The companies that are planned in Congo, most of them, let us make a roll call of them.
Which are those? Tell us some.
I would imagine this gold goes somewhere. There's no gold auction market in Kampala, or diamond.
There must be an origin.
What I'm aware of, diamonds and so forth, is auctioned off in Europe. Antwerp, whatever it is.
Antwerp, yes.
As an example. And then gold goes... so the point is, how many of you guys use gold, for example? We have a gold market in Uganda.
I have a little bit of it here.
We are one of the few. But the point I'm trying to make is that anything goes in Africa, characters come and call themselves experts, the natural justice, whatever, being rigorous with their... You know, when you're doing research, you must be rigorous. Check your sources, do this, then they just mention names, malign people. It is against that background, especially in light of the fact that very serious commitments have been made by the government of Uganda to participate in, these missions, so like in Somalia, in the Central African Republic, and also in engaging in attempting to create peace with our brothers in the DRC. So these are serious issues. And if somebody just comes and begins maligning you without any iota of evidence, really, this is a very, very serious whatever. Now, you find that some of the issues, you
have to go for a break. We'll pick it from there. This is Spectrum Radio, and do stay tuned. We'll be back after this.
Excuse me, guys. Let me through, please.
Yes. What? Check this guy. Goodness, dude, what are you doing? Get real.
Just move
just
a little.
What?
A little bit. Man, what are you doing bringing a cow into the sitting room? It's just for when I want milk.
Just what?
Just please move. Let it come and sit here.
What's wrong with this guy?
You cannot keep a cow in your home, but you can get the freshness of its milk straight from the farm into your home. Get fresh dairy milk for freshness straight from the farm every day. Fresh Diary, so fresh.
Imagine never being unreachable again. Imagine no more buffering and unreliable connections. Imagine no more high costs on IT equipment and support. Imagine no more administrative costs to make cash payments. Imagine meeting with people in person across the globe within seconds. Because with the right partner, anything is possible. Whatever your business requirements, we can find a solution. Call 0313-121-121 or email talkbusiness@mtn.co.ug today. MTN Business.
MTN. Everywhere you go.
Discover the new invigorating taste of Red's Vodka Lemon. Red's Vodka Lemon. Reinvent the night. Not for sale to persons under 18.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Welcome back on Spectrum tonight. Should Uganda withdraw from Somalia and other UN missions in protest against a report accusing the country of aiding DRC rebels? Our guests tonight, Honorable Reagan Okumu, Aswa County MP, Chair of the Acholi Parliamentary Group, Ambassador Kintu Nyago, His Excellency, Deputy Head of the Ugandan Mission in New York. You will be able to call in and contribute to this discussion. Let's look at the Rwanda perspective. Would Rwanda have a reason for supporting?
No. I just wanted to chip in something little.
Yes.
You see, government did not come with this question, this answer, this statement voluntarily. Government was actually responding to a question asked by the leader of opposition in the parliament, because our new rules of procedure provides that that the minister, the prime minister, should always answer questions from the leader of opposition every Thursday, something like that.
Right.
I think for about 5 minutes.
Question time.
About six questions maximum, something like that. So, fortunately, the leader of opposition had actually asked these same questions earlier on Tuesday.
Yes.
To government, and government went and prepared this response. And you cannot respond to an internal thing with that extreme view, because my brother here is saying it was extensively discussed. I don't think it was extensively discussed
within government.
Within the government, because really, what level of that high circle? Because you see, the problem with our country, you talk about high circle, but high circle cannot cannot be in each and everything. Must be knowledgeable people, must be sober people, must be people who understand.
Cannot issue a statement.
No, but you see, when the statement becomes reckless, it exposes sin.
You think the PM's statement was reckless?
No, for me,
you won't issue a statement.
For me, that was a very reckless statement from a government.
Mr. Honorable Okumu, well, you definitely take a very passionate view about this, but the point is, this statement was rational, well thought out, and not reckless at all. Because what is reckless is that so-called report made by either malicious.
But the report was not even formal.
Let me look. No, so-called experts. That was really reckless.
Okay.
And it deserved all the condemnation. Because for a serious country like Uganda that is engaging in serious issues of regional and international concern, and some malicious characters from God knows where comes and issue that kind of report, and they're so-called experts. I think they're experts in their own whatever they come, but they don't even understand the issues here, and they don't even have the courtesy or the professionalism to even interview the people they write about, or to even interview. Who did they interview in government, for example? The Prime Minister is accessible. The Speaker of Parliament is accessible. Honorable Okumu is accessible. Who did they interview? What are their sources? Radio Katwe.
Well, let's move forward a little bit. Would it be plausible if Rwanda were supporting the M23 rebel? Let's look at it from that perspective.
First of all, I don't want to speak for Rwanda, but well,
let's look at as regional analysts. Rwanda, there are 6,000 genocides hiding in the DRC. They could cross the border. DRC has not done anything. Would it make sense for them to support the rebels inside of the DRC?
Yes, you see, for me, when you talk about genocide, especially when it comes to the issue of Rwanda, then actually, to me, genocide was both sides, because if I remember the floating bodies coming through River Kagera for all that period, one would not even know whether these are Hutus or Tutsis, because if you trace where River Kagera, the basin of River Kagera, where River Kagera comes in, and by the time the bodies started arriving here, there were some people in control of some of those places. So one would not really imagine whether the Hutu would fight and kill people and fight for a dumping ground, because the basin of River Kagera was already under the control of RPA. But that's a different factor. The truth is that Rwanda as a country has a legitimate security concern. And looking at activities in the Congo, you know, it raises a lot of issues. And they think that if things do not go on well in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and their allies are thrown out of government, because they looked at the Tutsis, who were part and parcel of the Kabila rebellion, who actually went to Kinshasa, and literally, indirectly, they were thrown out of that government, and therefore Rwanda would have an excuse.
Let's probably talk about a more heightened threat. These 6,000 genocidals, people who are supposed to have taken part in the genocide in the 90s, they are armed, they are in the DRC. The DRC has also done anything to prevent them potentially from attacking Rwanda from the Congo.
You see, the same thing one would also say that Rwanda has not done much to prevent these other people from attacking the other Congo.
Well, you watch your border, but there's a buffer zone. They're enjoying freedom in the DRC. Hit them while they're still in there. Break their capacity to attack you.
You see, I am not an expert of genociders in the DRC.
The RPF invaded Rwanda from here and they took power. But these people could potentially invade from the DRC and take power in Kigali. Look at that scenario.
No, but also the fact is, when Rwanda took over power, you know, the interest of Rwanda in the Democratic Republic of Congo for a long period of time. In my own understanding, I would think that actually Rwanda's interest in the Democratic Republic of Congo is to carve another nation within the Democratic Republic of Congo that would indirectly protect them from any other external invasion.
How much acreage do they want? Give us some directives.
I think let's not go into that.
Well,
This can be a very possible speculation that there are forces in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo who are actually trying to find ways of of seeing the Eastern Congo breaks off from the entire Democratic Republic of
They even
Congo.
have oil, actually, in the West.
Talk about oil, talk about another thing, but I also think that the factor could be more political than economic.
Should Uganda quit mediating these efforts between the M23 and the government? They're hosting some of them here, talking to them. Should Uganda quit, as they threaten to quit Somalia? Should we also quit this mediation?
What these so-called experts wrote in that report was that the M23 is in Kampala. True.
Yeah, they officially,
yes,
they are.
M23 is in Kampala because of the role Uganda is engaged in mediating the conflict in the DRC. Because you cannot mediate. Look, unlike those chaps who came here and wrote that whatever, what they call a report, without interviewing people or having the courtesy or the professionalism, you cannot mediate. Mediation means reaching out. Now, His Excellency the President of Uganda has an understanding with His Excellency President Kabila that he has, as a mediator, to reach out with the M23 and get their viewpoint. Because the attempt to resolve the conflict in the DRC is all inclusive. And if you can, I mean, it's like, for example, trying to solve the Palestinian problem without engaging one of the parties or all the parties involved. For example, saying Hamas, you won't talk to Hamas, or you won't, then you are just wasting your time. So the M23 are not here because the government of Uganda recognizes them. No.
Not like the ANC was here.
Yeah, for sure. This M23 outfit is neither here nor there. But the point is, it's there. It's a military force in the DRC, and it has got its own reasons, which I won't go into. But the government of Uganda is engaging with them because of an understanding of the role Uganda is playing to mediate. And you cannot mediate. The two main protagonists in this conflict, as of now, are the M23 and Kinshasa. So you cannot just...
You have to talk to both sides.
A dialogue involves engaging such all the parties involved.
Do you think Uganda should pull out of that effort?
You know, you know, when they talk about Uganda mediating and our president being the one in charge,
yes,
it defeats my understanding.
What do you mean?
Because from Kinshasa, Kabila has made outrageous statements against Uganda. He has made it. You know, he's recently been addressing a press conference. He's made similar allegations against Uganda.
He was in South Africa as well.
Yes, so really, I sometimes think it's just a mockery.
What do you mean? He was in South Africa. He spoke with Zuma and said that these foreign countries should withdraw. So he doesn't trust our mediation effort.
No, to be honest with you, DR Congo has made their position very clear. They don't trust Uganda and Rwanda. And therefore, either in mediation or otherwise, I don't think that what is taking place is a serious issue that can bring serious resolution to the conflict in DR Congo. Because at the end of it all, the government of Kinshasa, if at all they agreed, they must abide by that protocol and by that understanding that they have delegated the government of Uganda to mediate, and therefore they must have respect for both what government of Uganda talks to them and what government of Uganda, and they should also keep their other feelings outside. But now if they are coming out and
saying they don't trust us,
making statements, I think
explain some of these things. They don't seem plain to us, some of us.
Unfortunately, the Honorable Shadow Minister seems to be...
No, I'm not a Shadow Minister.
You said you're Shadow Minister.
No, I said I was.
Okay.
Chairman of the Acholi.
Right. Now, unfortunately, the Honorable Okumu, I think, is beginning to play partisan politics even.
No.
Let's hear your facts.
It is not.
Because, I also followed the interview of His Excellency President Kabila, and I think the point really is to put it as it is.
He doesn't trust us.
Not at all. He does trust us. And the point is, recently, the region, once again, they even met in Goma, which is in Congo, it's in DRC.
Yes.
The region reiterated its confidence in the regional initiative chaired by His Excellency President Museveni to resolve the conflict in the Congo.
Diplomatics.
Exactly. And this meeting took place in the DRC in Goma. And the Congo was involved. And that same weekend, because we got represented by the Minister of Defense, Honorable Chiyonka, but that same weekend, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the DRC came to visit His Excellency the President as a special envoy. And they met, and the position of the DRC is that they are still engaged in this process, and they have the full confidence of His Excellency's ability and goodwill to engage in this process. And President Kabila is supportive and is still part and parcel of the process.
When was that position held by Mr. Kabila? Because we've had some news, you might not have heard it. He was in Johannesburg, in Pretoria. He said the foreign country should leave. Then he came back to Kinshasa.
You see, I don't want to disagree with no, fine.
Diplomatic approach has been some documents were pulled out.
You remember Kabila came here with other African leaders, but strictly speaking, in the AU, when Kabila finally accepted foreign forces, he clearly put it out that he does not want Uganda and Rwanda. Two, when they were in SADC, because SADC is regarded as a body, and therefore Kabila was now talking to his allies.
Yes.
And says, and you know, Angola is a very strong military ally, of Kabila.
Yes.
And he was saying, look, I don't trust these guys. Recently, there was a huge meeting, the Francophone, which was hosted.
So the French president.
Yes, and the French president flew there. And Kabila was excited with his allies.
Yes.
Because he also looks at the Francophone. And he made a similar statement. So, whether this thing is going on, I don't want to deny. But then I think one of the sides is there for not being honest.
Which side?
Or one of the sides is really wasting time, because either Kabila is not serious or it's just marking time, because he's made these positions very well known. And if they trusted Uganda to be a good mediator, they wouldn't have.
The ambassador says they trust us a lot.
They would, but to be honest, all of us here, everybody knows in his own hearts, of hearts, that actually Kabila militarily would not trust Uganda and Rwanda. We would be the least trusted fellows.
Some people think we installed him in power.
You remember during the crisis we had when the LRA went to Garamba, we also had problems.
All right.
We also had a big challenge.
We would like to hear from the listeners before we do that, Honorable Ambassador.
The fact of the matter is, President, His Excellency President Kabila has the best of relations with President Museveni.
You're talking like a diplomat now. Go on, sir.
Because recently, in October last month, President Kabila was here.
We know that, yes.
Our independence.
He went back and said other things.
No. It's for my brother, his Honorable, the Shadow Minister, is playing partisan politics in his interpretation of it.
And they play diplomacy.
So, Uganda and the DRC have long-standing historic relations.
Let's hear it.
Same people.
From a diplomat. Go.
Same people. They are, by the way, more alus in Congo.
Separated by colonial boundaries.
Oh, yes. This marks boundaries. They are more Lugbaras in Congo than Uganda. The Bambas and the Bakonjo. There are Nyuros also in Congo. They are these people who from Samuliki, the Batuku and so forth. So really, Uganda and Congo, we are like Siamese twins. Exactly. And the relations are moving from strength to
common history, common heritage.
Exactly.
That's
and a
diplomatic language. A
common destiny. But President Kabila has full confidence in the chairmanship and mediation of His Excellency President Museveni.
Let's hear from the listeners. This is Spectrum on Radio 1 tonight. You can call in 041-4348-111, 031-260-390, 031-261-390. Spectrum, hello?
Hello.
Yes, sir, your name? Good evening, sir, your name?
We are thanks for the new ambassador and Honorable Reagan.
Spectrum, hello.
Hello, I'm
Martin, yes.
Yeah, very much for 27 as this is data kosher. So the best item is we have very strong reasons to work with Somalia. Because we know when our neighbors are insecure, that's just Sudan is also insecure. And we have to Uganda and Uganda. So if the government is interested in withdrawing, we rather withdraw our own UN representative, that is Kintu Nyago, and restoring the Somalia.
I'm laughing at that. Spectrum, hello. Yes, sir, your name?
How are you?
Very well, thanks. How are you?
Robert from Uganda.
Yes, Robert.
I want to thank Dr. Kintu and his counterparts here. But I want to thank the position that the statement was thoroughly thought about. It's not only when the head of opposition has actually when they released the report, immediately the government starts and prepare the response. Therefore, the statement is well prepared. Thank you.
Spectrum, hello. Hello. Good evening, your name? Yes, David.
Yeah, I'm asking Mr. Nyago. Will you give experts for comparing each report to Uganda for having worked with 20 people? If you, Mr. Uganda, to go there on the ground, stating the president was given to establish whether these allegations were true or not. Experts interviewed some people. They are Uganda soldiers who have been captured from the front. And where did you not do the same? You are not conditioning everybody Mr. Kizito because you are not without the share because of what happened there. God bless you.
Spectrum, hello. Yes, sir, your name? Yes, Peter.
I want to say something about that. You see, when you're calling here, I wanted your sister to call your lady. And then somebody again goes and then say, but you start to work on the lady. Then you say, so, what do you mean this? You wouldn't think of it as maybe you know that somebody is not in the husband. You start it all around round. Thank you.
Speaking in parable. Spectrum, hello. Good evening, your name?
My name is Paul. The position Uganda is taking, which I know that Uganda was a dominant English school in Toronto.
Yes.
But historically, Uganda has known to have a very strong position foreign policy, where it will not fight, irrespective of what the community or the world will say. But here we have the UN report has come up, and all of a sudden, Uganda is like the report and say, oh, no, if this is what you're going to do now, we're going to change our foreign policy. Now that causes people to become even more suspicious. In order to support the technical class, you're giving an interrogation, they're going to throw in a name and see how you respond to it. But here it is under becoming very hysterical. Somebody said things that was made and becoming extremely drastic now. This is causing people a lot more suspicion that they were before this. But there are two fronts Uganda has to fight on. One is the foreign, but also the internal. It's not that easy to convince the Uganda at this point that in our foreign policy we may not be there, but in our own interest to support this very trajectory. But at the same time, people know we've been there, we have other interests. There is no reason why we've been not be.
All right. Okay, let's get back to the studio. Ambassador Kintu Nyago, should we, instead of withdrawing troops from Somalia, should we instead withdraw you and get a representation? Talk to us now.
Well, I'll leave that to the policymakers to decide. But the point is that...
you can advise them. You're now a diplomat.
Well, yes, true, thank you. But the point is that this report and some countries in the Security Council were taking it seriously. Those so-called experts had very serious implications for the well-being of our country, because it could have led to very negative repercussions, sanctions, and so forth. And also, it maligns the good reputation of the country country, and also many of our leaders who have nothing to do with this report, so-called experts who did not expose any professionalism and rigor, because they should have at least have invited those people they talk about and interviewed them, or at least the government spokesperson or the minister or the prime minister and so forth. They did neither of these. They just sat somewhere in a hotel and I don't know what they were doing, and spent there less than 12 hours. Now, Mr. Paul talks about Uganda's acting with hysteria. That's not true. That's not true. Had Ugandan experts written something of this nature about, say, the United States, I'm sure the State Department would have come out very strongly on us, or any other major country. You don't just write things that malign countries' reputations and leaders, and they leave you scotch-free. So it's not hysterical. It is a rational and well thought out manner response. And I'm certain that most Ugandans trust their leadership, trust the actions of their leaders, and also support them. So that's important.
The U.S. sent a representative to beg us to stay in Somalia.
I wouldn't put it that way. I wouldn't put it that way. I wouldn't put it that way. But what I know is that Washington and Kampala are in good terms, and they regularly. It's not unusual. The Secretary of State, who's even more senior, was here, and she spent here 3 days. Madam Clinton.
Hillary Clinton.
Yes, and Mr. Clinton himself was also here. Mr. Bush has been here, and others. So the point I'm trying to make is that that was not unusual for the Undersecretary of State to come to Kampala, and it had nothing to do with begging. These are usual diplomatic relations between Uganda and Washington. And Uganda does not support the M23 as Mr. Paul seems to suggest.
Say that again.
Uganda does not support the M23, but true, because President Museveni is a mediator of the conflict in the DRC, he engages with the M23 with the full understanding and backing of the DRC and other member states in the Great Lakes region.
Honorable Reagan, Okumu.
Mine is basically about what Robert and Paul talked. Robert is alleging that perhaps he was part of the clear thoughts about the response of the Prime Minister, because he said, we considered, we did this. That means he was an insider in that process. It saddens many Ugandans, including me, to hear such statements, because in the diplomatic world, looking at our foreign policies, looking at how we've been since the independence. First of all, I want Ugandans to know that when it comes to matters of foreign policy,
yes,
it goes beyond regimes. It goes beyond political parties. It is a national stand, a national pride, a national concern, and therefore, any challenges that affect us, we must together abandon all our other courts and focus at ourselves as a people. Because at the end of it all, like what has been happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo, it's not going to affect only NRM people.
Yes. Even if
it is definitely going to affect Ugandans and generations to come. You know, when you go to for international meetings abroad, you see how some of these francophones tell you off and even ask you to leave us. So really, I think that this what Paul is saying is something very serious. The question on foreign policy, it must be a very serious issue, and we should stop shifting goalposts. Government must become a government when they are responding to some of this thing. I have seen them getting shallower and shallower by the day.
Who's getting shallow?
The government.
Oh, really?
In everything they do, including foreign policy issues. And I just think that we are always available
in the FDC
to be. No, we always. Of course, we are available as an alternative. But what I'm saying, in this period when they are in charge, when they're in power, we are available to be consulted on matters of national concern, and we would be willing to give our genuine positions as Ugandans, so that Ugandan statement does not really lacks a lot of things. It does not appear to be defensive of our deeds elsewhere.
We have to go.
Thank you.
We couldn't answer the question. Are Ugandan troop soldiers, have they been captured from the front? That's something maybe we'll... it's not true. We have to go. Thank you very much, dear guests. Honorable Reagan Okumu, Aswa County MP, also chair of the Acholi Parliamentary Group. Thank you for coming. Spectrum tonight. Ambassador Kintu Nyago, His Excellency, Deputy Head of the Uganda Mission in New York. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. Kizito Spectrum. We'll be back tomorrow.
Ça va, hello. My name is Kogole Andemina. Very serious.